Look at it.
Hold on, let me put some power to it so you can see the screen light up. So this is the PB600 circuit tester from ANCEL. You got the single ground with fusible link. It's got 2 LED lights right on the front of it, but let's run through the options so you guys see what all is available. Okay, upper left we have oscilloscope, upper middle we have multimeter, upper right we have injector, lower right we have activate, so that'd be like activating components. This unit does feature a battery tester, which is kind of nice. We'll test that out. And then lower left has a relay tester. Now it does have 2 pages. You get a PN test and your setup. When you unpack it from the box, you will get an extension. You'll get a USB-C 3-wire alligator clip. More on that later. Comes with an insulation piercer. These banana leads have these interesting little sheaths on them. So they just retract down. And then when you take them off, they're covered. Helps prevent against short circuits, so that's kind of cool. They also give you replaceable fuses and then a hook for the device, which I have already installed here. Setup is super simple. You just take whatever probe in you want, stick it in there, and that's it. Whoa, look at that guy. As with most testers, of course you have to hook up the clamps to the positive and negative post. So we've got an oscilloscope. That'll show us the voltage reading here. This is voltage DC, so if I just want to find whether or not a fuse has power on it, shows me 12.6 voltage on that fuse, 12.46. So these are all battery hot without the key. If you want more versatility, which I do recommend in this setting, you can take out the tip, get a back probe that has a female receptacle, and then use the extension they gave you with these fancy sheaths. That way we can extend our probe end. So that sound you're hearing there is path to ground. I get the same thing if I put it on the battery terminal. When you get power, it gives you that slower beep. When you get ground, it gives you a faster one. So that's kind of handy. Let's try the cranking test because I'm kind of curious myself about that. Go down over to battery. We're gonna have 3 options: battery test, cranking test, charging test. I'll do the battery one first. So we'll just follow the instructions here. I'll just hit OK. Hopefully that'll work. You don't need any ends for this. You just use the clamps on the battery. That's it. All right, hit OK. I have a regular flooded battery. CCAs. It is a 850. Testing. Healthy 81%. 851 CCAs. Charges at 78%. And then it tells you, good battery. So that's handy information here. Let's do a cranking test. Start engine. Yes, ma'am. Cranking normal. Okay, let's go back. We're gonna do a charging test. Load test. All right, this one we'll have to do from inside. All right, we're gonna increase the RPM to 2500. Keep it 5 seconds, press enter to continue. Do enter. All right, sis, loaded, unloaded, and ripple. Charging test normal. I guess the alternator's doing pretty good on that old girl. Okay, I've moved into the shop here using my test board. I've got battery positive and negative coming from a power source here. This is the positive terminal, that is the negative terminal. I have the clamps of the tester installed to where they're on the positive and negative, and therefore my tester is powered up. Just to show you some things this tool can do, we'll go over to oscilloscope, voltage DC, which is what we're running. If I test my battery positive, I get 1394, 1383. If I go to my battery negative, you also see you have some LEDs, a green negative, and a red positive. So testing a circuit just like anybody would. Let's say this light isn't working. I'll remove the ground, remove the power. I can do an available voltage check on the power side. Make sure I have good ground. So while the load is unplugged, we'll flip over to the activate section, which is in the bottom right. Now it has an option for left, giving it battery positive, for right, giving it the battery negative. So if I suspect I don't have a power source, I'll leave the ground on the load, hook the positive end up to the probe, and now I want to give it power with the left button. And it'll give it power as long as you hold the button down. On the flip, if you want to give it ground, You test it on the ground side of the circuit. This time I will hit the right button, and it gives it a ground, testing your entire positive side. If you want to test components out of the vehicle, you take the black lead attached to the unit, supply it the ground. You take the positive end and stick it to the probe, and then if I hit left, I'll give it battery. If I give it right, nothing, because remember, every time you're hitting one of these buttons, it is shooting through the tip of the probe. If I give it ground, it already has ground, it's not going to do anything. So you can see the screen a little bit better. I'm just going to zoom in, go to oscilloscope. We have voltage DC, which is how you test for available powers, things like that. Voltage AC is the exact same thing, we just have to have an alternating current. It will also test for frequency and duty cycle. The multimeter section really is just an ohm checker, if you ask me. That is the resistance value. It's checking to see if you have resistance. There is a diode checker, right? Just like most multimeters have. You have an injector tester that will test your injector voltage. And then we have relay. So under the relay section, you're going to pick whether you have a 5-pin or a 4-pin. I'll be showing you using this 5-pin relay. This is where you're going to use those multicolored test leads. You're going to find the USB-C end, plug that USB-C in there just like that. And the manual does give you a picture on how to hook that guy up. 85 and 86 pins, you're going to hook up the black lead to one of them. Then from 87, 87A, and 30, it's going to go red, green, black. Just like that. Using the probe tip, I'm going to sneak in there and touch the other 85 pin and now tell it that I have a 5-pin relay. I can feel the relay clicking in my hand, and the tool tells me that 85, 86 are doing their thing. That continuity is changing from 30 and 87A to 30 and 87. So this relay is good. If you keep on cycling through the options, you'll eventually get to page 2, where you have a PN test. That's more of a diode checker again, so everything that's in the PN test is in the diode checker already. And you have a settings section where you can pick the language, turn the beeps on, the self-test, LED test. This is where you can do an update, and you use the same USB-C port for the external tester and hook it up to your computer. So that's a basic review of the ANCEL PB600. It's a very solid unit, I do like it. I had my nitpicks with the last probe style tool I used, one of which was the leads on it were way too long. These leads are, I feel, appropriate. I think it's a 10-foot lead instead of a 20-foot standard lead, and then it does come with quite a long extension in the box as well. As far as testing goes, it did everything I expected it to do. The battery system test and the charging system test is a much appreciated addition to a probe like this, so you don't have to buy a standalone battery tester. I always enjoy being able to activate components with a probe style tester in your hand, letting you know right then and there that it's not the load that's the problem, it's in the circuit somewhere. This is not rated for household use, or I would have absolutely jabbed it into a socket. It's for the automotive style do-it-yourselfer. Solid unit. I look forward to using it in the garage. I've tried to see if these units will load check a circuit, hook up to the power and the ground, hit a button and see if there's extra resistance in the circuit, see if you have a voltage drop, that type of thing. A lot like a Load Pro would do. If they would include that with these probe style testers,
game changer.
Hopefully that's something we can expect to see in the future. I hope you enjoyed the video of the ANCEL PB600. Great little unit. I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to pick up one, or you'd just like more information on it. Big thank you to ANCEL again for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for watching.